Hello everybody, this is Gone Turbo, and this is the Hunter Call of the Wild 2019 edition on the Xbox One. In this video I wanted to give you a thorough tutorial on how to play this game. I've been playing this for a little bit of time now, and there's definitely some things that take some getting used to playing this game. And I wanted to share those with you because it can be a little frustrating to get used to the controls and the gameplay. But first and foremost, this is an amazing game, absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful. The gameplay itself for a hunting game is absolutely incredible. And in this video, I wanted to show you what the controls consist of, some of the features, and also just a little bit of gameplay and how to navigate this world of the Hunter Call of the Wild. So to start out, one of the things that you get in the 2019 edition are 2 additional reserves to hunt in for a total of 5 different maps, and these maps are absolutely huge. You can spend so much time in just one little area, and to have 5 huge maps in 5 parts of the world, it's absolutely gigantic. In terms of the way this game looks, absolutely beautiful. There are not too many games out there, in my opinion, that look this good, especially how this game pulls off a living world. One of the creators of this game is Expansive Worlds. I don't know much about them, but they've done a really great job of creating a living, breathing world here. So to start out, this is a first-person point of view type of game, and like most first-person games, you navigate around with the thumbsticks. And again, this is Xbox One, so I'll be speaking about controls regarding the Xbox One. And simply looking around and moving around is typical of first-person shooters, or 3D kinds of worlds where you're walking or traveling around. It's important to know, however, how to utilize your tools in this game. On the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see a few things. You're going to see a compass, obviously the circle with north, south, east, and west. And I find that I'm using this less than the actual map interface, which we'll get to in a little bit. You'll see a green, what looks like a green triangle, and that's actually your wind. So the way that wind works is the triangle shows the direction the wind is going. So right now I am facing the way the wind is blowing. You can see down there on my compass. So that technically means that this direction is downwind. The wind is coming from here, blowing from this way, blowing that way. So any prey down in this direction might pick up your scent. So that's important to know when you're playing the Hunter. You'll also see next to that another interface with a couple of different things. And you'll see a box with something that looks like a cell phone. You actually do have a phone in this game. Let's see if I can pull this up here. And it's more of a, you're probably not getting a signal out here, so it's more of a, think of it more of like a satellite GPS. You don't use this like you would a game like GTA 5 where you're calling and looking at texts and doing all kinds of different things. This is mostly used to see what your quests are, or your missions, because there are some missions in this game. And it can also be used to track and to see what you have been tracking. So you can pull up your phone and see what trail you might be on as you're tracking an animal. So how this interface works, it's a little bit tricky. Down in the lower right-hand corner, you can simply use the D-pad to select the tool you want to use. All right, so we have here, this would be my gun. You can see the bullets and the amount of ammo you have. Binoculars, a call, This is like a lure spray and actually a tent. So what you simply do is you can scroll back and forth to what you want to select, and then you push down on the D-pad, and that will pull up whatever you are selecting. So it's kind of like a, push down to put away your tool, push down to pull it up. So pushing down on the D-pad is going to pull up whatever you have selected. So let's say I want to select a hunting call. I push down and there it is. Let's say a lure spray, there it is. You can also, however, change items when your item is up and on screen. So from here, I can press left and right, and it will cycle through each tool. Actually, I have two kinds of calls here. It's a little bit slower though, because it takes the animation to, raise up your hands or whatever it is that you're doing. Yet another way you can change items is you can push up on the D-pad, and you can select, again, left and right to pull up what you want to pull up. So let's say I want to pull up my binoculars. I can now press A, and there they are. And I can press down to holster them, or I can press up to go back to the menu. So it's takes a little bit getting used to, but that's how it works. It's almost like three phases of ways to pull up your tools. With each tool, you can interact with it, obviously, in different ways with the left and right triggers. So I want to use this call here by pressing the right trigger. Another deer call here. Spray, which I won't use, but it does a little spray animation. The tent, which you can obviously pitch and use as a shelter. For something like the binoculars, you pull the left trigger to activate. For the gun, left trigger to look down your scope. And you can see here manage sights in the bottom left, the bottom right. So you can take your sight off if you want to, and something like that. And whatever you're carrying in your backpack or on your character, you'll probably be able to switch out what you might want to use on the fly, kind of like that. So underneath that, you will see a green bar with a first aid plus on it. That's your health. You actually have a health meter, and animals can attack you in the game. So that's something that also is a bit of a danger. I haven't taken any falls off any cliffs, but I'm assuming that probably that can damage your health as well. Underneath that, there are three very important icons. You will see the first one on the left, a heart. The one in the middle looks like an eye, and the one on the right is what looks like a speaker. So these three things are important to keep your eye on while you're playing. The one on the right, the speaker, obviously is how much noise you are making. If you are walking normally, you can see that your volume will go up with a series of lines and dashes and even some colors. So the louder you are, the more bars you will get on the speaker, and even louder than that, it will turn red. And being quiet and no sound at all will just have three little dots. In the middle, there's what looks like an eyeball. So as you're moving, it is now a complete circle. That means you are quite visible to anything that might be around you. If I stop, it's just a little bit smaller. So obviously you're not moving, so you might not cause as much visual attention. You can also crouch in the game by pressing B, and doing that, you will see a line with a circle under it, which means you're hidden even a little bit more. As I move, you can see that it goes back to kind of that smaller circle. You can even go prone by holding down B, and now you have a line. You have a flat line. A flat line can also occur if you are hidden in an area where there might be some foliage. Oops, a little too far there. So here I am crouched and I have a flat line. And even more, if I want to hide even more, I'm now in the pucker brush and the line is very faint. It's a small, dark line. So that means you're completely hidden, for the most part, I guess, in this right here. So I am hidden. I am not making any sound. This is a good spot, perhaps. So you can see that with your hands out on the screen here, you show a picture of your hands. It means you're crouched. And when you stand up, your hands go away. One thing that is also important is running. So you see my heart, the little heart icon. When you're walking normally, your heart rate is completely normal, and that's not affected at all. If you press down on the left thumbstick, then you can run. And you know it's toggled because your hands are popping up. You see your hands down there, and things kind of bounce around, and you actually do move faster on screen. And what happens is your heart icon will start to beat. You can see it starting to beat there. And if you don't stop or take a rest, it will start to turn red. And you will start to tire out. See, now it's turning red. And I haven't pushed this far enough to see what happens if you keep running, but what this will do is affect looking at your prey through the scope and trying to hold your breath. When your heart rate is finally at rest and you look through your scope, you can press down on the left thumbstick and you can hold your breath and have a steadier aim. Holding your breath can also, if your heart is still beating, affect your heart rate. So those are three very important icons at the bottom of your screen. The noise you're making, how visible you are, and your heart rate. So that's a bit about the game interface. Like I showed you, your scope can be detached, and pressing down on the left thumbstick, you can hold your breath. So again, hands are out means I'm running, and you're going to want to make sure that you're toggling back to walking. In this game, we'll get into some of the gameplay, but this is not a run and gun kind of game. This is a slow, steady, and thoughtful hunting experience like would normally and actually be. I wouldn't say that it's a completely realistic simulator, but it's pretty much as close as possible, but backing it off a little bit to make it enjoyable so you're not completely frustrated by never finding anything. Okay. Another important thing that you're going to use, obviously, is your menu. The two buttons on the Xbox controller, the two menu buttons, the button to the right with the three lines on your Xbox controller and the button to the left with like the two little squares are important. So the one with the lines is pretty much your main menu. And on your main menu you can access your map, mission logs, inventory, skills, perks, a codex with information as you see here, Hunt Club Beta, which is one of the online features, and the system. We'll come back to this in a moment. But the other button on the Xbox One with the two squares simply pulls you right to the map. You can still access all of the features that I just showed you on the right, mission log, inventory, skills, and etc. But pressing the left button will bring you right to your map. Your map is very important, and you're going to use this quite a bit, much more than your compass. And it's important to know a few things about reading a map. Obviously, you see that there are a lot of different icons and things that are going to show you certain points on the map. I'm just going to zoom out here so you can see how big this world is, or how big this map is. And again, this is just one of 5. I've been spending hours getting used to this game in just this area here, and plenty to explore, plenty to hunt, and still a bunch of things that I haven't even discovered yet. So this is the Lake District map in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and you're going to see some features here. You can toggle this legend here on the right, and anything you haven't discovered is green. Anything that you have discovered and have activated or been to is white, with the exception of a couple of other things that I'll show you in just a second. So there are information points that kind of show points of interest, just kind of some neat things to discover. There are green question marks, which are undiscovered locations. Probably will end up being points of interest after you search them. You will also see throughout 2 things that are incredibly important. One is these lookout points. These are more on top of higher elevation points, and when you climb up to the top of these lookout points and activate the map or the information board at the lookout point, then this area will unlock, showing where some of these undiscovered locations are. Kind of like Assassin's Creed, when you climb to the top of a lookout point, activate it, then unlocks and shows you on the map where certain points of interest are. So that's what the lookout points do. Another important icon or area, probably one of the most important, is the outpost icon right here. This is a cabin or some sort of structure where you can sleep and rest and decide what time you want to sleep to, and also a place where you can purchase weapons, ammo, equipment, and also transportation. You can access a all-terrain vehicle, an ATV, a 4-wheeler, in this game to travel around. So this is very important. Your save point is also here. So if you are somewhere out hunting and you exit the game, you are going to load back up at the same time you exited at this save point. You can also only fast travel to these outposts. So I'd recommend, if you are out hunting, to just simply fast travel to the outpost, game saves, and you will then start at this location. The only exception is if you purchase a tent, like I had in my on screen there. A tent is a portable outpost. It does the same thing with equipment and sleeping, and also as a save point. So that's very important to know as well. So a few other things that are on here. These hunting structures can be built for a bit of money that you do earn after you kill a predator or kill an animal. So I have not unlocked any of those yet or built any of those, but those are our hunting structures. You will also find throughout the game different need zones, they're called, and they're characterized by either a leaf, a drop of water, like here, or some Z's, which is a resting zone. So you have a resting zone, the leaf is a feeding zone, and the water is a drinking zone. So animals will eat, sleep, or rest in these zones, which are good places to hunt in terms of more like waiting for the prey to come to you versus tracking and finding and going after them. Another thing to note is the topography of these maps, and I guess that's what I meant before about reading a map. So these gray lines here, right where my icon is a level of elevation. So the closer lines are together, the steeper the elevation is. So for example, over here, it might be a little bit dark and hard to see, but these elevation lines are closer together, which means it's steeper. Each feet of elevation are indicated by the lines. So this means it's steeper here versus up here where the lines are further apart, which means it's not as steep. You're not going to be increasing in elevation from line to line, but you are increasing elevation in a shorter distance when they're closer together, obviously. So that's how the topography of a map works. There is a little bit of a lag when it comes to this map. You can kind of see if I go to zoom in, sometimes it will take a second to render the graphics. The map is performance-wise a little bit slow in that case. Like it's laggy. The map is laggy, so you can see it like doesn't quite focus as well as I'm going around the map here. There are some paths, some trails, which are the dotted lines. Those are good to use your four-wheeler on to access different parts of the world. This is actually a rail line here, railroad. And these purple splotches are areas where I have shot my gun, which technically means or indicates that I have made a disturbance. I have disturbed this area because I have made a loud noise, shot my gun, and animals will less frequent this area if they know that it's been disturbed by me. So the more you hunt or the longer you wait, the purple areas will start to go away. Like this was, I think, the first area I ever shot an animal. Actually, no, I think it was up here, and that area is no longer purple. So it does fade after a while. So that's how the map works. Very important to know how it works. You also will be able to see the points that you have tracked. So you can see here, this was where I was actually tracking an animal, and it can kind of keep a record of that, so you can look back and reference it, both prints and droppings. And there's my character right here. So going back to some of the other things on the menu, mission log. When you first start this game, if you watched my unboxing and first impression video, I was a little bit confused on what to do. And basically, you have to locate a track, shoot an animal, and harvest an animal. They just kind of throw you right into the world and say, have at it. Visiting one of the lookout points was another objective, and then going to the outpost was another objective. That's been it for the, I guess, introductory missions. But there is a storyline that goes along with the map, and I'm assuming the 4 other maps as well. And it seems pretty like low stress. When you start each map, there is a ranger, a park ranger. This is Doc, Colton Doc Locke. I tried the European hunting ground, and pretty similar. A a ranger comes on to your speaker or your phone and gives you some guidance, and also starts you on a story mission. But it's not like there's all these missions to confuse you on what to do. The focus is to enjoy hunting. So pretty low stress when it comes to these missions. Inventory is obviously what you are carrying, and what you have through categories is on the left. And then when you activate one of those categories, then in the middle you'll be able to select from multiple things within that category. So if I had more than one weapon, in the middle here I'd have more things to choose from. And then further more on the right, this is your more or less your D-pad inventory that I showed you at the start. So you can remove some of these things from your quick access from your D-pad if you don't want to have to bother with them. If you do pull up a gun, if I were to get a different gun, I do have to make sure that I have the right ammo, which I have to affix to or equip to this category here. You can see the ammo icon and the scope icon. I can unequip and remove those things, but I have to make sure that I add them back, or it will show my gun not having ammo or a scope unless I add those back in. So that's how you can mess around with your inventory. Skills and perks, pretty self-explanatory. The more you play, the more animals you kill, the more perks, or the more skill points and perk points you will get to then be able to unlock a number of different things that just increase gameplay a little bit. Reveals more information, decreases your visibility in foggy and rainy weather, increase in health, increased distance when being visible. This is more of a as a stalker and an ambush kind of skill set. Something, let's see, duration of lure sense, increased monetary reward from completing a mission by 5%, learning about health of an animal, the weight of an animal. So in terms of perks, you can increase perks for rifles, handguns, shotguns, and archery. So things like, let's see here, what do we got? Ready your next shot without leaving aim mode, increase ready speed after firing for all weapons, decrease aim wobble when holding your breath. So stronger gameplay elements as you unlock these things. Codex is just information about your character, about the world. You can actually look back to your hunting log and the things that you have killed. So you can see what your best score was for your latest kills, your biggest animals, when it happened, kinds of things. And then you can look at the 5 different worlds, the different areas to hunt. So I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and the more you play, the more you can look at these and read up on them. So like I've only gone to Balmont in the Lake District, and a written note was a point of interest. So you can kind of go back and see and reread and relook at what you've done in each area. You can look at different wildlife, learn about their behavior and habitat when they're active, their difficulty in terms of hunting them or even taking them down. Different weapons affect how you take down an animal. So a moose with a lower level gun ain't gonna do too well. I've tried it. It's very difficult. Again, rifles, shotguns, handguns, bow and arrows, or archery are the weapons kind of categories in this game. So you have a lot of variety here. And then finally, in this category, tutorial. So I'm talking about a lot of these things, but there are There is a place here where you can go and re-look at how certain things might work. So here we are, noise, and it just shows you the speaker icon. Making noise may alert animals to your presence. You may make noise by moving or shooting. The faster you move, the more noise you make. Moving through foliage will also make more noise. Noise can be masked by environmental sounds such as wind and rainfall. Use the ambient noise to your advantage when moving around the reserve. So almost every realistic detail has been thought about in this game. So you really have to think about noise and your being spotted, your visibility. So that's Codex. Whoops, I want to go back. Hunt Club Beta, again, I have not I hear an animal. We're going to stop because I hear an animal. Here comes a moose. If you are quiet, oh, I gotta reload. No, 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 no. This is good because I can show you a little bit more. Oh, I got him. A little bit more gameplay-wise, how this works. All right, so we know that was headed south. So, while I'm in the pause menu, action still happens. As you can see, it's getting darker. But Hunt Club Beta is more online play, I believe. I think so. In terms of the system, all of your controls, your options, and this is important to get to know a little bit because some of the things that you might want to change are here in the game section. Controls are fixed. You can't adjust them by any way. All right. So a little bit more about some of the controls. Again, we showed you the interface. Y, you can actually jump. Let's see if I can get that to work. No, Y is reload. I'm sorry. Y is reload. A is jump, which is loud and very visible. B is crouch. Hold B is prone. B to stand back up to crouch, and then B to stand back up all the way. Again, A is jump. Y is reload when you have your gun up. The buttons, not the triggers, but the buttons. The left button, you can go right to your device, and then click it again to go back to whatever you had before that. And the right button, it's supposed to be like special features. So right now, if I hold the right button, my character will whistle really loudly, which is meant to spook like birds if you are bird hunting. That's what I've learned so far. So those are what all the buttons do. The last thing that is unique is if I hold down the X button, I actually pull up a camera. And I can supposedly take pictures by just pressing the right trigger. Now, and I don't mean taking screenshots for your Xbox, but taking pictures, and I'm not actually sure yet where they are kind of saved to in the game. The one thing that it says is that if you hold the left trigger, you can zoom in with your camera. But I'm pressing the left trigger right now, and I'm not zooming in anywhere. So I'm not sure if I have to unlock like a camera lens to be able to do that. So one thing that's kind of neat about this is maybe you don't like hunting, but maybe you like nature and wildlife and being in the outdoors virtually. So you essentially could hunt animals and never shoot them, but rather track their behavior or track their patterns and take pictures, which is perfectly possible in this game. And it's such a beautiful game to be able to be in and explore that you could do that too. All right, so in terms of gameplay, it's It's simple, but at the same time, it's well, I don't want to sound silly and say it's simple, but also complex. Um, it has again somewhat of a simulation kind of feel. You can't go running and gunning after animals because they will just keep running away from you as they would in real life. So you have to play this slow. You have to be patient. You have to take your time, and that's what hunting is all about. So, as you noticed, that moose came upon me because I had been standing still and yapping for about 10 minutes, and I wasn't visible and I wasn't making noise. And that can happen. If you are staying in one spot and you are quiet, perhaps out of view, then animals will come across your path. You can lure them with sprays and calls, um, and that's one way to hunt. You can track their patterns. You can track again being around and finding their need areas, where they sleep, where they drink, where they eat, and you can just hang out and wait. But if you want to move around and find and explore and start to find some of these hunting patterns, then there are things that you are going to be able to find. Now, I just shot that moose, and we have a blood trail that has happened. When I come up to something that is flashing like this and press X, then it helps guide me in the direction that the animal went in. You can toggle these colors. You can toggle uh, these these flashing hints, but it's almost impossible to find any tracks when they're not flashing. So you kind of see in between the flashes here, there's really nothing that you can see at all. So it's probably, I would say, almost impossible to track and play this game through tracking or noting patterns of behavior without these icons helping you out. Scat or droppings, however, are obviously more visible. So you can see here, you're probably going to see that a little bit more than some, than the tracks. So when you approach these things, you can click on them. You can see what they are. This is the moose droppings, very fresh because it just happened. I shot the shit out of it. And again, after you kill it, after you shoot an animal, if you haven't taken it down right away, then it can tell you and help get you in the right direction. Now that splatter said non-vital hit. And again, a few times with my low-level gun to take down a moose. But I did hit it 3 times, I think. And so now we're at a bleed rate of very low. The blue tracks is what animal is currently activated. So you can see moose, footprints, and it was at a run. So it was running in this case, and that's the information that it will give you. So I've activated that blueprint. It tells me, this direction. And as I head in that direction, I find more blood, and I find more blue footprints. And I can continue to activate to see the direction it headed in. There's also, however, white footprints. That is a different animal. So you have to be careful, and this is where you can get a little bit lost. Your tracks might end, the trail might end, and you've lost the animal. Or you might accidentally click on white tracks, and now you're tracking a different animal, and you're a little bit now, can get a little disoriented. Another awesome feature about this game is that the grass and foliage will actually mat down when you walk on it, or when animals walk on it. So let's see, I'm going to walk up here through this grass, and I'm going to turn around, and hopefully you'll see that I created a bit of a trail where I matted the grass down. So that is also helpful in tracking animals. So you might lose the footprints for a little bit, but you might see some grass matted down, which can indicate where they have headed. So you might shoot an animal. Oh, there it is. Because I hit it a few times. And want to run after it. But I made that mistake in one case. And I kept running. I would find the tracks and I'd run. I'd find the tracks and run. And I never... I actually could see in the distance the animal just kept running every time it stopped and I ran. So you have to be slow and steady. You got to take your time. You got to think about your environment completely. So that's why this game is so wonderful. Is that it's so realistic in a lot of these ways, but still gives you plenty of opportunity to feel successful in the hunt and in the kill. If you never saw any animals, if you never found tracks or never had the help of tracks, you would get frustrated, because it does take time. Like, I could play this game, and I have for 4 hours, and have moments of not coming across any animal, but still, tracking, exploring, waiting, and that's one thing that is important. It's not an arcade game. It's not find and shoot. It's more simulation type. All right, when you come to your animal, you get a kill screen, or a reward screen, I guess. It shows you how many XP points you might have earned, how much money you've earned, which will unlock new items, which you can purchase new items, unlocking equipment, points to help with your perk points or your skill points. This will give you what gender or the animal is, how many pounds, how long it took you to track it, the level of difficulty, your score. Gives you a score with all of that information, and it will also tell you on the right. This is this is kind of neat, in a kind of creepy statistic way. It will show you each of your shot and what it did to the animal. So you can see my first shot was right in the stomach, and I also hit flesh. And you can see when you kind of move the animal around where your bullet went in. So that was my first shot. The second shot, it was, if you remember, it was running, and I hit it right in the back end, the flesh. You want to aim for vital organs. And then the third was flesh, lumbar vertebrae, intestines. So it actually does break it down to what you actually hit. The first deer I ever hit was, if you saw my video, I hit it in the leg, and the ulna bone actually showed and gave me the actual bone name of where it was hit. And it actually did lame the animal, so it was limping around with that leg up as it ran off. So that's how this interface works, and I accept to continue on. All right, we're going to go to my map, and we're going to fast travel to the lookout point. If I get on there. Again, this is the only place you can fast travel to, unless it's a tent that you have acquired from the equipment shed. So this is the outpost. You can sleep in the outpost to advance to a different time of day. You can also hunt at night, and I totally forgot about this. If you hunt at night, you press down on the right thumbstick and you have a headlamp. And after, I think, 1900 hours, which is 7 o'clock, you can only find tracks if you have your headlamp on. The tracks icons won't pop up unless you have your headlamp on. On the map, you can see in the upper left the time, 1831 military time, XP points, the level, and at the far top right the amount of money, you might say, I guess, I have earned. And I found that you earn money quite, I don't want to say rapidly, but at first I thought, man, some of these items to purchase are expensive. It's going to take me a while to get to that, to buy these things, but I didn't take too long. So at these lookout points, you can access your cache. And again, if you have a tent, you can do the same thing. So here's where you can purchase different things. You have to unlock them first. So you can see the icons that have the lock. When you get a certain score with a certain gun or a certain item, we'll unlock these things. But then you have to buy them. It's kind of a double unlocking feature, which I think is fine. So I've unlocked some guns, but I don't have quite enough for the 7mm Empress Magnum. But you want to look for what it will do. Accuracy, reload, speed, recoil, hip shot. I haven't done a hip shot yet. And you can then go ahead and purchase it if you feel you want that particular item. Handguns, shotguns, and bows. Oops. You can then go to ammo. Make sure your ammo matches your gun. It's quite simple just by looking at the caliber. Shotgun ammo, arrows, different sights, different or AKA scopes, lures and lures, collars, scents, and decoys. Musk deer scent. There is a what do you call it? A scent that can mask your human smell. Equipment. First aid kit. Oh, there it is. Scent eliminator. So it makes your odor get masks your odor to get closer to your trophy, your animal. First aid kit. Clothing. Whoops. You can access different kinds of outfits. I just got the standard olive outfit. Backpack. So you can purchase a backpack to add more to your inventory. So once you leave this cache, you can only carry so much. You can't carry everything. So a backpack can increase your capacity. Binoculars. Tents. They're all the same, just different colors. Ground blinds. Some layout blinds for bird hunting. So those are things you can get. I'm going to go down to garage, which is where you can get your four-wheeler. They're all the same, just different colors. They're all the same, just different colors. So let's go with the red one. I typically don't pick the red one, but again, doesn't do anything with color. Doesn't like attract or detract animals at all. So we're going to hit request, and it will pop up in the yard here. But I just wanted to show you can change your character for money or for a cost, and different options. Your outfit and backpack. Speaking of backpack, this is a little bit tricky also. On the left is storage, meaning these are the things that you have that have been acquired, mainly, unlocked and purchased, but not that you're carrying. So we have kind of these three levels. You have the cache with everything that you have access to that you can purchase and unlock in the game. Storage on the left here, which are things you have unlocked that you own. And backpack, the things you are carrying as you head out into the wild. And you can see at the top your capacity. And if you have too much, you won't be able to do it. Won't be able to carry everything. So you gotta pick and choose depending on what you're going to hunt, kind of thing. So if I click on this, I can then pull it over. You can see the white capacity bar has just increased. That's the idea, anyway. So that's how that works. We're going to exit here, and it's getting to be dark. What else in terms of gameplay? So I talked about tracking. Sometimes your ranger will give you like a hint. He will say, "Hey, I found some tracks over yonder, close to where you are. Go check it out." Another thing that will happen, which I forgot to mention because it didn't pop up, is sometimes you'll hear an animal call. Let's walk around. Let's get to our four-wheeler. We'll take a little drive, and actually, we're going to sleep. We're going to go back to the daytime. But if an animal makes a call, you can activate. You can activate it, and find out what animal is making that call, and you can even head in that direction. So if you go to rest, you have your current time, and you can go to what time you want to, sleep until. So we're gonna let's go to 7:55 a.m. It does cost to sleep, which I don't know. I'm not sure if I like that it costs to sleep, but it doesn't cost a lot at all, so it's not a big deal once you really start getting into the game. So I'm going to rest to 7:55 in the morning, and we will then head back out. Okay, shut the door. All right. So for the four-wheeler, you hop on. If you press down on the D-pad, you then do have a third-person view. All right, before I fire this baby up, I got to tell you, not only the graphics, but the sound in this game is incredible. Has to be one of the best sounding games I've ever played in my life. I mean, you've heard me walking around in the footsteps and whatnot, but the actual, what you're stepping on is so realistic. Grass, dirt, rocks, wood, different kinds of bushes. It's so realistic. Your character, as you're walking, you will hear branches rubbing up against your coat. You will hear sticks of dead branches rubbing up against your character. If you are walking in water, if you are crouched and you are moving around, you will hear different sounds. With your weapon out, you will hear different sounds. It's absolutely incredible, the sounds in this game. And you need them to know what kind of sound you're making or how loud you might be. So, we're going to get started on the four-wheeler. The four-wheeler sounds, so realistic. You hear the rocks bing and bang and crangle on the metal. You hear grass banging up against the body of the four-wheeler. And it looks great too. If you get into some heavier areas and hit rocks or a tree, you hear it. Obviously, this is not going to help you attract any animals. You can see my sound meter is at maximum. We'll head up here to the lookout point so you see what I'm talking about. These are the lookout points that I was speaking of. Alright, so there's one of those track animal call noises. You just probably saw that track animal call. So if I hit X, which I just missed it, will tell you what animal it is. If you park your four-wheeler and head off tracking an animal, you can't fast travel back to your four-wheeler, and I believe if you don't return to it after a period of time, it disappears, or maybe if you're far enough away, I'm not sure. The cool thing about the four-wheeler is you don't have to stay on the road. You can go anywhere you want. But be careful, because you never know what might be in a thick area. There might be stones and rocks, or you never know if you're going to come across a cliff area. Just sounds fantastic and looks brilliant. I have not yet done anything in regards to bird hunting or duck hunting. With the 2019 edition, again, you get some DLCs. You get the 3 other maps. You get the duck hunting DLC, and oh gosh, I think a weapons pack and something else. So, on your map menu, and we're getting down to kind of the last most important thing, you can click X to open the different reserves. So here are the 5 different places that you can go to. Right now I'm at the Leighton Lake District, Pacific Northwest. South America, Patagonia, Savannah, Hirschfelden, Europe, Germany. I assume that's Germany. And then Siberia, Medved Taiga, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, National Park. So you have all these areas you can go to. One last important thing that I want to mention is something very important. In the world map, when you toggle reserve selection, this is the way to transport or go to these different areas. So the other day I wanted to see what Hirschfelden was like, so I pulled up the map here like I'm showing you, and I clicked on going to Hirschfelden. Then I wanted to come back here to Leighton Lake District, so I pulled up my map, I clicked toggle reserve selection, and I came back to Leighton Lake District, and I didn't lose any progress. Everything with what I unlocked, my weapons, my kills, my XPs, levels, money, everything saved. So this is the way to travel around the map, around the world, and hunt, not losing any data, not losing anything. If you go to the main menu of the game and click New Game, it will say, do you wish to start a new game? All your save progress will be lost. I'm assuming that everything you've done will be lost if that's the way you want to go to another, or thinking that's the way you want to go to another district. So I didn't test that, but I was playing Leighton Lake District like you see here, and I thought, hey, I want to go to somewhere else. I went to the main menu of the game. I clicked New Game, and it gave me that message. Do you want to lose? You will lose progress if you want to start a new game. So it's kind of a weird little flaw, it seems like. So once you start a new game, then that's it. Like, unless you want to completely start over. But to go from reserve to reserve is within the game you already have running. Probably if you were to log in as a different Xbox username, then you can have more than one saved game overall. So I think it's just a little side note thing that just to be careful of. So anyway, this has been Gone Turbo. I hope that you have gotten some good information out of this tutorial. I wanted to give a thorough tutorial because this is a fantastic game. And if you like hunting games, if you like nature, if you like being in the outdoors, if you just want a different kind of gaming experience that is absolutely wonderful, then give this one a try. The Hunter Call of the Wild 2019 edition. This has been Gone Turbo. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.